The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit, and this week I am so happy to be joined by the younger version of myself. It's Logan Rabbit.
Hello.
Logan, back in the studio on this side of the camera.
I know. It's been a while since I've been in the studio in general, much less in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's kind of feels weird, a little nice.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Logan helped produce this show for a couple of years. Probably did 100 and some episodes of this show.
Oh yeah. Oh more.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few. But, home from college and ready to join up to review some movies.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
So let's talk about what we have first. We're going to start with the streaming spotlight, where I watched a film, the newest film from Aaron Sorkin, wrote and directed, being the Ricardos. This is a film that takes us onto the set of the hit show I Love Lucy. It also takes us into the writer's room and into the bedroom of Lucy and Desi. Lucy is played by Nicole Kidman, and Desi Arnaz, played by Javier Bardem. It's a film that's mostly focused on 1 week of their show, at a juncture in their relationship where trust in their marriage is being tested, and ever the professional showmen, both Lucy and Desi, put on the strong front as they face off against a career-altering news story that is about to hit the papers about Lucy being a communist sympathizer, which at this time during the Red Scare, it would pretty much end her career in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
So they're dealing with this about to come out. They're dealing with relationship troubles in a tumultuous marriage and battles with infidelity, I guess. But they're also standing together as they battle with the writers and specifically the showrunner and network execs over Lucy's impending pregnancy that they have also just announced, and how to handle that on the show because a pregnant woman had never been shown on TV before.
Oh, really?
And Lucy said, I want Lucy to be pregnant on the show. I don't want to hide her. I've gone through one pregnancy on the show where I was hiding behind boxes and furniture. This time I want, and we're also going to push the beds together and be the first show to show a husband and wife sleeping next to each other, which it was very taboo at the time. The network executives did not love that, especially Jess Oppenheimer, who is played by Tony Hale. He's the showrunner who has to deal with all the stresses of dealing with Lucy. So we kind of get into a lot of the TV standards of the 1950s with that. And the show has a real authentic feel of the 1950s in television and Hollywood at that time, and I like that. But it's not just like a career biopic of them. It is kind of
a snapshot.
A snapshot, like I said, of that 1 week, and we really see a lot of the deep insecurities that Lucille Ball had from her early career failings that kind of drove her, that once she made it, she never wanted to stop. She takes comedy very seriously. She works at it. She rehearses it. It's the most important thing in her life, and she wants to control every aspect of it. And the film also shows how she and Desi were kind of treated as commodities, even though they were the most successful duo on television at the time. They were still treated as commodities by the network executives. And so Lucy's kind of life is swirling around her. She's fighting for control over the one thing that she can really kind of outmuscle everyone else on. She can demand it goes this way. I know comedy. This is how it's going to be. I don't care how you write it. I'm going to rewrite it for you. And she battles everyone. And a lot of the writers could barely stand her at this point because of this. And she kind of has this deep-seated struggle to be seen as competent because she was a female comedian.
Exactly.
And she's also fighting to keep her marriage because she knows she needs to, if only for the show.
Right.
And so it's really interesting. And the strength of this film, not surprisingly, I think, is in Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem are really believable as Lucy and Desi.
Okay.
And I really enjoy Lucy and Desi, the real people, and the I Love Lucy show. And I thought that they really captured that well. You also have the other couple on I Love Lucy, Fred and what's her name? Ethel. Fred and Ethel, played in this by J.K. Simmons and Nita Arianda, playing William Frawley and Vivian Vance. J.K. Simmons is perfect. Fred, he's great in this. And we get some moments with them, and with the Vivian Vance characters, we kind of see the pain they carried, because Vivian Vance is also trying to break out of her role of being the frumpy, dumpy neighbor who's
Right.
the shadow of Lucy, and she kind of wants to, she's been the butt of all the jokes because of her looks. And, she's just lucky to be married to a guy who's much older than her.
Yep.
And she tries to break out of that, and nobody's willing to let her, especially Lucy, who wants to keep her in that box.
Right.
And so it's really interesting. And Aaron Sorkin writes amazing scripts. I mean, he wrote The West Wing. He's one of the great writers.
Mm-hmm.
But since he started directing, he did Trial of Chicago 7.
Okay.
He did another movie last year. And I have the same issue with all of them, is that I don't think he's a good director. I think he struggles as a director because he doesn't know how to elevate great writing. And I think his writing in other people's hands is elevated, but for him, I think he puts incredible things on paper, but doesn't know how to, he doesn't have the eye for making it pop on the screen.
Okay. Sure.
So it's kind of just formulaic, which is frustrating, because when you have great performances and fun subject matter, it feels like there's meat on the bone that you're leaving because you just don't have the tools to know how to do that. And they added in this one thing that drove me nuts. Throughout the film, they would add in fake talking heads, like it was a pseudo documentary, talking with people like, and then Lucy did this, and I remember the time that Lucy did that. But it's not the real people, obviously, it's actors, because these people are long dead.
Right.
And it just kind of pulls you out of the story. I don't understand the idea for that.
Yeah.
But it's still a good enough movie. It's streaming over on Amazon Prime right now. It had a limited theatrical run.
No, it sounds pretty good. And, I don't have a giant, the biggest, I haven't seen much I Love Lucy.
Sure.
So, I don't know, but, I've seen a little bits in here, like the sushi scene and stuff like that.
Comedic genius.
Right.
And they delve into some of those classic scenes and how they got there.
Sure.
Like in flashbacks.
Right.
Of how it's like, oh yeah, of course, everyone remembers this moment and this moment.
No, I actually might have to give it a watch. And
I recommend you check it
I know you said earlier you're going to be watching some I Love Lucy's. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll peek over your shoulder at some of that.
I agree. So I ultimately ended up giving Being the Ricardos 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's a recommend. Again, it's streaming over on Amazon Prime, and perhaps it's playing in a theater near you, but worth checking out for sure. So let's move into what we have on the marquee this week. And sir, why don't you start us off with that?
So our first movie is the newest animated movie from Illumination Studios. That is the sequel to the first Sing movie, aptly titled Sing 2.
Ooh, they nailed that one.
I know. This follows, again, a koala named Buster Moon, voiced by Matthew McConaughey, and his ragtag group of theater performers during a performance of Alice in Wonderland at their local community theater. A scout for Crystal Entertainment run by Wolf Jimmy Crystal, voiced by Bobby Cannavale. After being told that they won't make it into the big leagues, Pig Rosita, voiced by Reese Witherspoon, Gunter, Nick Kroll, Porcupine Ash, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, Gorilla Johnny, voiced by Taron Egerton, Elephant Mina, voiced by Tori Kelly, head to famous Red Shore City. The group promises to throw together this giant out-of-this-world. This will take you completely just out of your seat. You won't even know you're watching him play anymore. This just giant performance. But they also promise that they can get the rights and the performance by this shut-in, rock
Recluse.
star, who, after he lost his wife, has kind of been just kept to himself for the past decade or so. And so that's Clay Calloway, voiced by Bono.
Yeah.
So the group kind of gets into some hijinks along the way, just trying to make a name for themselves, but also stay out of conflict with Jimmy Wolf. It leads to
Jimmy Crystal,
or Jimmy Crystal. I'm sorry, he is a wolf.
Yeah.
Jimmy Crystal. You get some other interesting side characters. Personally, I'm a big fan of Eric Andre, and I wrote down with the Ricardo, or no, it wasn't Ricardo. That's what you were just talking about. Who's the one character he voices? The really like, I said he has a Justin Bieber act, but like a Joe Swanson voice because the voice cracks. Halsey, you got a couple other people. Pharrell. Chelsea Peretti, a bunch of big names.
It's a nice voice cast.
Oh yeah,
it's a cool voice
for
cast.
sure.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because Buster Moon, he's trying to trick his way into getting this right. Promises something he can't deliver, and Jimmy Crystal the Wolf he's kind of a stand-in for all of these like big executives, especially in Hollywood, who control things.
Right.
He literally threatens to kill. He throws people off the roof of high buildings.
He
takes glee in throwing people to their death, which is pretty dark for a kids movie.
I agree. There was some
like, I'll throw you off the roof, and it's multiple times like you're gonna die. And then at one point tries to kill Buster and doesn't get a chance. Like, don't worry, I'm coming back. I'm gonna murder you. By the way,
it locks him in a closet.
Really dark.
No, there were definitely some adult themes in this movie that. I don't know how that's supposed to get marketed to kids, but I feel like,
That was one of my questions about this movie because there's the character of Portia, voiced by Halsey, which is Jimmy Crystal's daughter, who's just like, I want to be in the show, even though I'm a terrible actress. And it's like, you put my daughter in that show. And it's like, the nepotism of show business happens every day. I'm sure that goes over the heads of most of the audience, to the younger audience. And then you also have this side, because all the characters kind of have their side things of dealing with insecurities. And you have Johnny, the gorilla, who is battling with a dance choreographer who wants him to fail, actively is working against him. And to me, at the end of the movie, I'm thinking, it feels like all of the characters that had power abused that power at every turn. And it's a warning. Like, and I'm thinking, like, so who's this movie for? Because kids... Like, that's going over there. There's some dark things about people who have power are going to abuse it and ruin you.
Right.
And just use you for whatever they can get out of you. And then you have the light, and it's filled with pop songs. Another thing is...
Colors.
A lot of pop songs that are... First off, some of them really date the movie, that aren't going to be popular 10 years from now. And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Also, a lot of pop songs... I mean, it opens with a Prince song from the 80s. It's like, I wonder how many kids are all about this.
I know that they played some like Billie Eilish and some other people. I don't remember. That was just the bad guy song.
Though, especially when they do like the tryouts.
Yep.
Right, you were doing like an American Idol type tryouts. Yeah. So you just get a constant storm of those.
Yep.
I think it's jam packed with songs. I think that I enjoy it, but to me, this movie feels a lot like cotton candy. Like at the time I'm watching it, I enjoy it. Yeah, it's fun. And as soon as I walk away, I will never think about it again because it's not an animated movie, like Wolf Walkers or something that will make me that made me think about it, look inward on myself, or any of the Pixar movies recently, where I'm like, wow, that had something for everyone.
Or even like just like your older Pixar movies, like those movies, they're just like. There's nothing like the stakes that are in this movie, or this just this random kind of just throw you into this world and be like, all right, and now you're facing conflict at every corner. You asked for this, you signed up for it, have fun.
Yeah.
Another big gripe I have just with these two movies in particular is that they pick animals for these roles, but they don't act like animals.
Right.
They don't act like the animals. Like, they fixed a couple of these in this movie, but the first movie especially like the pigs at the opening scene. They're all around the table eating just fine. Make them eat like pigs. And I know that they had like the piglet scene where they're all like running. That was.
I thought that
cute.
There was a character of a tiger who was supposed to be in the performance.
Yep.
Opposite Johnny, and at one point. He looked like a guy, like a human with a tiger head on him.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Like, he's very different from everyone else.
Like, really the only other character who acted like what a personified the animal they were based off of was the wolf.
Right. Yeah, he was very much a wolf.
He was very much a wolf.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of interests me is I wonder how kids take the idea of Clay Calloway, this recluse, who has been hiding from society, mourning the death of his wife, and they have to go and beg him. You're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting dynamic to throw in the final act.
Yep.
Like, by the way, I'm mourning my wife. I have been wrecked by the death of my wife.
All of
Wow,
the
that's
songs
really
that I
dark at
ever
the
wrote
end.
were about my wife. I haven't
Really
listened to them or played them or anything like that.
But
since-
I enjoy the voice cast. I really enjoy
yeah.
I love Scarlett Johansson in this. Matthew McConaughey's great as Buster.
I didn't even recognize her, or like, I couldn't recognize whose voice it was for Ash the entire time until I looked up. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Scarlett Johansson. It sounded, anyways.
All right, let's see what you gave Sing 2 then,
I
sir.
gave it 3. It's definitely better than some of, especially Illumination's movies, but it's nothing like. It's no Toy Story, you know?
Yeah, I think, films like this, they don't stand out from the pack for me.
No.
I enjoy them while I'm watching it. It's fun enough. I have a smile on my face. It's cotton candy. It's fine, and so I also gave it 3 stars. It's fun. Kids will love it.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever, but
Oh, yeah.
it's not anything groundbreaking, that's for sure.
No.
Speaking of groundbreaking franchises, let's talk about what else we have, and that is The Matrix Resurrections. We bring back the crew. Neo and gang are back for another Matrix movie. This is the 4th one. Keanu Reeves back as Thomas Anderson, Mr. Anderson, a.k.a. Neo. He's a video game programmer who has created a massive hit video game called The Matrix. And now, after all these years, his boss is demanding he create a sequel to the game. And that's where the winky meta-narrative begins. And he's living in a world that he never quite feels attached to. He's seeing a shrink, played by Neil Patrick Harris, who he talks to about the events that he's been through inside the Matrix. And he keeps sensing deja vu. And it's when he meets a familiar face in a coffee shop that he starts to kind of come off the rails, and he is met by a group who know who he is because Neo is a legend. Thomas Anderson is a legend. And so this group led by Bugs, played by Jessica Harwick, who are some hackers who know this new Morpheus character. We do not have Lawrence Fishburne.
And I know, I was a little disappointed when I heard that.
But instead we got Yahya Abdul-Mateen playing a new Morpheus, and then some. And we delve back into the Matrix, and I don't want to dig into like a lot of the story, but it's a Matrix movie. And here I just want to start off. The first Matrix to me is unequivocally a fantastic.
Oh
movie.
yeah,
groundbreaking,
amazing,
still holds up. I am not a guy who is big into the Matrix franchise. I thought the sequels were both below average, and that third one is almost unwatchable and very forgettable.
Yeah, I've seen the first one, loved it. I saw like the first half of the second one and just kind of got disinterested, and then I couldn't finish it. I tried watching this one. I got sidetracked with doing the notes, but
that's all right.
No, I was Fishburne's presence in the first movie made that movie to me.
Yeah, and the thing is, this movie kind of demands that you be a big fan and really understand and are deep into the mythos, because this movie is very meta on the Matrix films. And it's Lana Wachowski doing this one by herself without her sister Lily. Feels like she's trying to rewrite the narrative of those sequels too in this film, which kind of frustrated me. But the original Matrix movie was known for amazing fight choreography and groundbreaking special effects. And this movie has bad fight choreography, and it is shot really terribly.
Yeah.
It's really bad, and it's mostly just shots of people fighting in slow motion, falling through walls, falling through floors in slow-mo. And for a franchise that made its name on interesting ideas in special effects and kind of revolutionary, this was a huge letdown to me. And I don't know, I've never been drawn to this franchise. I'm not a big fan of magical realism.
Yeah.
And this franchise is very much magical realism. And it just, the film gets really messy at points. And I don't know, it's a film about the love bond between Neo
Right,
and Trinity,
yep.
and how their love can save humanity. And I enjoy moments of them together. You have what's his name, Jonathan Groff playing the new Agent Smith.
Yep.
I like him. I do not like the new Morpheus character.
Nope.
He kind of jumps in and out of the movie, in and out of the Matrix and reality. Didn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, what was up with portals and like the windows and stuff? Has that always been a thing in the series?
Yeah,
I don't
pretty
remember
much.
that from the first movie much,
Yeah.
but
It is.
okay.
And everyone in this film is masquerading as somebody else.
Yep.
And it just kind of, it goes for big action, but I felt like it under-delivered on that. And it didn't deliver anything that would make me change my mind about the franchise. Or make me care about them making another sequel. As far as I'm concerned, this is still like 1.5 good movies out of 4.
Yeah.
And that's really bad. That's like Terminator territory or Predator
Oh no,
territory.
Territory.
It's like Predator territory.
Yeah, Predators, but
And it's frustrating. And this is also the last film under the Warner Brothers agreement with HBO Max. It's streaming on HBO Max. It's playing in theaters. This is the last film of that agreement. We no longer have that we had all of this past year. But,
Yep.
I'll watch Keanu Reeves fighting people all day long. I will. But boy, this didn't deliver a whole lot else to me. That's unfortunate.
No.
So
what'd you end up getting?
I ended up giving The Matrix Resurrection. I believe I gave it 2 or maybe 2.5. What did I say? 2.5? 2.5. Yeah. I mean, it's still Keanu fighting people.
Right.
And he's great at that. So
Right.
it is what it is. If you're a big fan of the franchise, I'm sure you've already seen it, and I'm sure you love it. But I am not, and I did not. So let's move on to what we have last on the marquee, sir.
Speaking of like choreographed fights and like real cool looking ones, we've got The King's Man. The King's Man is the prequel to Matthew Vaughn's Kingsman series, the 3rd installment. This starts in the early 1900s during the Boer War. The Duke of Oxford, his name is Orlando, played by Ralph Fiennes, and his wife head to South Africa to a concentration camp during the Boer War, where they're like ambassadors or something like that for the Red Cross. Yeah. So they're bringing supplies and just kind of checking up. But during just like a sniper shows up. For the Boer, one of the Boer snipers kills his wife. And so she makes him promise, do not let our son ever see war ever again. So Orlando sets out with a couple of his servants, Polly and Shola, played by Gemma Arterton and Jimon Hansu.
Nice.
Very good? I got that one, but not
Good
Gemma. They create a peacekeeping service throughout England behind closed doors. So instead of trying to intimidate people, trying to just, make sure everything's all good, try to stop it before it happens. The service, they take to history's most evil villains, or at least in Europe.
It's great. It's like cartoonish versions of villains.
Honestly, you've got a bunch of these just iconic people during this time. You've got the murder of Archduke Franz Ferdinand with Gavrilo Princip.
Oh, God bless you. I wouldn't say it.
Yeah, no. You got Rasputin. You've got Lenin. You've got some Nazis. You've got the guy who plays what's his name? David Brewer. Is that
Daniel Bruhl?
Daniel Brühl.
Playing a Nazi, of course.
Yep. Third role I've seen him in recently. It's a Kingsman movie. If you haven't seen the other ones, you're missing out on spy action, just good fun. But
and there's a shadowy figure who's kind of controlling all of these.
It's true.
And we have these 3 cousins who all come to lead Great Britain, Germany, and Russia, who he is using his operatives to. This is set against the events of World War I. The actual historical events of World War I is kind of the backdrop for this.
Right.
In these shadowy figures.
But it's not even like the backdrop of World War I, because it kind of is, but it also takes place it kind of takes place during it, but also after, but also before. Like you pull people from all over history for his little group of just terrorizing Europe.
Now the Kingsman franchise has been a franchise that you have loved. I remember the first Kingsman movie is one of the first movies that you absolutely loved, latched on to.
The first Kingsman movie is like one of my favorite action movies of all time. I go back to it regularly.
And I think that the strength of Matthew Vaughn in all of his films is he directs action really well.
Yes.
He does comedy within the action really well. Builds these interesting universes with interesting characters.
Oh, yeah.
And great, stunning choreography, shot really well. And there's some great action here. I specifically love there's a scene where Rasputin is battling several people. And he's doing like ballet.
He's doing the like Russian
fights.
like spinning
He's
dance
basically
and
doing
kicking
the
out.
Nutcracker
Yep.
with swords and such. I loved that. And you also, in that scene, you have Ralph Fiennes in his boxers in a sword fight.
Getting his wounds literally licked by Rasputin.
I loved all of that.
No, that was especially great. Especially, they literally took like the mythos or whatever of Rasputin.
Right.
He cannot die. They stab him and drown him and shoot him, and he just won't stay down.
Yeah, he's magical.
It's great.
I also, Matthew Vaughn introducing for the first time I've ever seen a sword POV shot where it's like you're watching a sword stabbing people.
I love it.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
No, the choreography for his shots, they're so zany, especially like in the first movie, that gory church scene, just the action just going on everywhere.
And that's the one thing I was hoping for in this. We were missing that each movie has one ultraviolet moment. It feels like it comes out of nowhere where it's like, whoa, that progressed quickly.
Yes.
This didn't have that for me.
No, it didn't.
And I was kind of hoping for that, but it felt to me like it was a prequel that kind of wanted to build out this universe of like early 1900s, especially how it ends, where as opposed to like just kind of, this is how the Kingsmen were formed, so now you know. It's like, no, we kind of want to do more in this universe. And I'm there for it.
I totally am
like
too.
that.
I like that they just chose a random tailor and they're like, well, this is the best tailor, and now we're gonna be at Secret Service. But one big thing, and I noticed this every single time it happened in that movie. They really love to do callbacks to those first.
Lots of nods and winks to the originals.
I was totally okay with it.
But I don't think it was overdone.
No. They mentioned like the statesman, just the whiskey, or they had used some of the catchphrases like "manners maketh man."
Right.
I like that because just like the little tidbits that they could have left out and it would have been all fine. But it's.
I agree.
Neat.
It wasn't overdone.
Neat. No,
it was good.
I like it.
What did you end up giving the Kingsman?
I gave it 4. This is, I mean, I love the first one. The second one was good, not my favorite. Yep. This one, it builds right off in the same universe. It has a lot of great just like scenes, and I love it. So I give it 4 stars.
Nice. Yeah, I give it 3.5 stars. It's enjoyable. I think the first one is great. And I think this and the second one are very different. And just one step down from the first.
Yeah, but like
in different ways.
If these were like the best movies or like the best, whatever, it doesn't matter. I love these movies. These are great.
Best in the biz. All right. Yeah. Let's take a look, sir, at what is coming soon. The weekend of January 7th. Oh, it's a full plate. Check this out. We have in theaters a film called The 355. The 355 is a CIA agent, joins forces with 3 other international special force agents to form a team to stop mercenaries. And this team is formed by Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, and Diane Kruger. Ooh. Looks interesting. And we also have a film called A Hero, which is an Iranian drama that I don't know a lot about. I just know that it has gotten rave reviews over the last few months, and I am very much looking forward to this.
So it's from Iran?
It is. Okay. Yes. Cool. In Iranian.
You know how I feel about foreign movies? Love them.
Love them.
Deerskin, Wild Goose Lake.
I'm looking forward to this one for sure. And that's it. That's what we got.
All right.
Let's take
Full plate.
Before we go any further, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, The Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Logan and I ran into our good buddy Tom Reichelt, the general manager of The Palace. Chatted with him before the Kingsmen. Great things. We always appreciate the support that you provide to this program. Next week, sir, I'm going to be talking about films like Licorice Pizza, which I've been waiting for too long. A Journal for Jordan. Streaming a film called The Lost Daughter. Who knows? Maybe something else.
Yeah.
I'm going to have Dan Presser sitting in your seat next week, which I'm looking forward to as well. We haven't had him on the show in a little while. So that will all be happening next week. Tune in for all that. Sir, I want to thank you again.
Oh, yeah.
Stopping by.
I love doing this. I'll come.
Yeah.
I hope, see if I can
Every
do it
time you're
before
home
I
on
leave.
break, you just stop in one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
If you want to find more from us, you can find us on the social medias. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Real Reviews TV is the best way to find us on there. You can chat with me, share some show ideas, talk about movies. I'm always there, so find us over there if you please. But until next week, I'm Jamison.
I'm Logan.
Thanks for watching.